Hey guys, what's going on? It is Justin from NASCAR HQ here, and today I'm going to be doing going over some top storylines for this week in particular. Some things that I've been looking on the NASCAR app, NASCAR.com. Been seeing some stuff that I've been wanting to talk about. And the first thing I want to talk about is apparently Kyle Busch made some comments about the NASCAR being so enthusiastic and putting so much emphasis on their uh, young guns, such as Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Daniel Suarez, Darrell Wallace Jr., Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, and so on and so forth. Eric Jones and William Byron and Alex Bowman. I believe I got all those names in there. So, apparently Kyle Busch made some statements about the young guns and talking about how they're still there. These championship drivers. Well, Ryan Blaney had some comments to say in return, and his statement said that if you if you want NASCAR to use you, you have to be willing to be used. And by that, I think not necessarily being used, but just in the fact that I think Ryan Blaney, he has the Glass Case of Emotion podcast with, oh my gosh, I forgot her name. But he does that each and every week during the season, anyway. And he's willing to do that. Look at all the stuff that these young guns are doing. A lot of the Coca-Cola racing family. You do have Ryan Newman and Denny Hamlin in there, but you also have, a lot of young guns now. Daniel Suarez is a part of that. Austin Dillon, I know, is a part of that. I am not quite sure who else is a part of that, to be honest. I can't remember. Danica Patrick's not anymore. But yeah, I mean, you've got to be willing to, you know, be there for NASCAR if NASCAR is going to be there for you. Kyle Busch is an excellent driver and no doubt a name that people think of when they think of the sport. As a matter of fact, I think current drivers, anyway, if you think of NASCAR, you think of Jimmy Johnson and probably Kyle Busch. Uh, so, I mean, that's just part of it. Kyle Busch, just because he's won a championship, doesn't mean that he is above the sport. And, this is going to be one of those things. I don't know what it is. Is it like part of Penske's contract or Joe Gibbs' contract that, like, you just, like, to be a part of their team, you have to hate the other team? Is that just part of it? Because, like, it seems like it. So that rivalry is certainly not going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, I think it's just part of racing, and I think the young guns have been very willing to carry the sport and, do these promotional deals, do these commercials. And not just that, but they're good. They're good on the track. And I mean, look at Kyle Larson had probably I'd say the second most dominant season last year besides Martin Truex Jr. And I mean Chase Elliott accumulating all those second place finishes, and I tell you, when he gets that first victory lane, he's going to be getting many, many more. And Ryan Blaney as well, he got a win. He was dominant, made it to the round of 8 in the playoffs. That's incredible. That's a lot of young gun participation. Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez weren't quite where I think they wanted to be, but they are getting there, and they're rookies. And people like Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson need to look out for these guys. Kyle Busch has been able to adapt fairly well, but it took him about half the season to do so. And that's all I'm going to say about that topic. You guys, I want you guys to comment and tell me what you guys think. Speaking of the young guns, Chase Elliott has made a statement saying that he was going to race much harder now, more aggressive, because he tried to be respectful to these older guys and he doesn't feel like they are respecting him. Case in point, Denny Hamlin. And I don't know whose side you guys are on here in the Denny Hamlin Chase Elliott feud. I'm on Chase Elliott's side of this, and it's not just because he's a young gun. I just think Denny Hamlin, I understand it was a round of 8 race. They both wanted to get to the final round. They wanted to make it to Homestead. I get it. I get it. Championship hopes, blah, 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 blah. But it's still a race. And okay, who's going to go in the comments and throw out the Dale Earnhardt quote here? Because I know someone's going to. They're going to be like, oh, well, Dale Earnhardt wrecked people all the time. Yeah, he did. He's got 7 championships. That's great. But there are also a lot of drivers who were very respectful in driving, and Dale Earnhardt was very respectful as well. And Dale Earnhardt said the exact same thing that Chase Elliott has said about Denny Hamlin. He's going to race people the way they race him. And, I think what Chase Elliott said about some of these older drivers are very true. I don't think the older drivers give the young guns much respect out on the track. I get it. It's a process. When Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson, and these are just 2 examples off the top of my head, there are many more, Ryan Newman, uh, you know, these guys didn't get respect either when they were young guns. I mean, look at Kevin Harvick. I mean, coming off of the death of Dale Earnhardt, wasn't even supposed to be in there, and I mean, and then they expect these drivers to give them respect. It doesn't happen all the time. I get that, but it's kind of the process of how it goes. But these young guns are good, and this particular class of young guns are so good that they're willing to demand respect, and I think they're doing that quite well. And I think that is something that needs to be taken into account. That these drivers are good and they're here to stay. This is the future of NASCAR. But I also think that the young guns need to realize that these other guys aren't just going to step out of the way. And it wouldn't be a competition sport if they did. So, next on the list, I'm going to say Martin Truex Jr. has made a statement saying that he feels zero pressure into going into his title defense in the 2018 season. As a Truex fan, I like that a lot. And I don't think he has a reason to feel pressure. I don't see any reason why Truex should feel like this 2018 season should be any different than last season. They still know what they're doing. They still know what they need to do as a team. And I mean, all in all, I think that's just who they are. They know what they need to do to win. I'd love to find a driver who can beat him on a 1.5-mile track because it didn't happen much. Kevin Harvick might be one who can get somewhat close. Kyle Busch maybe, but these guys are. It's going to be really hard for anyone to reach the level of the 78, and I think that these guys realize that. Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch are obviously top 2 prospects. I'd say to do that, I would throw in Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott and Jimmy Johnson in that list. So, and then we have. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Danica Patrick have broke up. Most of you knew that. Most of you also know that Danica Patrick is dating the NFL quarterback all-star, Aaron Rodgers. We all know that here. Everyone got that? Okay. So, apparently Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has been approached all these times. It's been going back and forth between the two. Danica Patrick is supposed to be competing in the Daytona 500. Um, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has been asked if he's going to race her any differently. No, of course he's not going to race her any differently. Why would he? I mean, I understand. Sometimes it's hard to mix business with pleasure, and it's sometimes a dangerous route. I get that, but no, he's not going to race her any differently than he did before. I don't think that it's something that these drivers have to worry about. I mean, Danica Patrick and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. found themselves in the same wreck quite a few times when they were together, so I don't see why we would have to worry about them doing it or not doing it again. So, our last storyline, it's going to be a quick one because this race is about over. Jimmy Johnson has said that uh, he's ready for this season. And he slipped back a little bit last year. Didn't show the impressiveness we usually see in Jimmy Johnson. He's got a contract extension through 2020, and all I got to say about that is Jimmy Johnson will have an 8th championship before he retires. And I say that not because I'm a fan of Jimmy Johnson, not because I particularly, follow Jimmy Johnson or anything like that. It's just fact. Jimmy Johnson is good, and he's got that fire. And I think he's going to have an 8th championship, whether it be this year, next year, 2020, or maybe even another contract extension for him. But I think that he's going to have that, and, I think he will be willing to fight for it as long as he needs to. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit lengthy, but we got over some topics that I wanted to talk about. Be sure to comment. I want your guys' opinion on these topics. Let me know what you think. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and working on Twitter. So, yeah, be sure to keep tuning in. And this is Justin from NASCAR HQ signing out. Race on.